Next, we go speed skating on the frozen Yellow River, send wishes and blessings into the sky on Ghost Festival, and marvel at a receding waterfall. This section of the Yellow River divides Shanxi from Inner Mongolia. When the cold strikes, turbulent flows continue raging beneath the surface. The last waves are frozen into white edges. The temperature drops to minus 30 degrees Celsius. As the water freezes, it expands and creates cracks. Preparations for a major event are underway. The surface is watered to fill in the cracks. It is then cleaned and polished. A special competition is about to take place. The starting gun is fired and the races are off. More than 200 athletes have come from different parts of the country to compete. For many of them, winning is not the most important thing. Skating freely on the Yellow River is an experience many of them have never had before. The flowing river carries the dreams and desires of the people of Hechu County. It's a tradition here to float paper lanterns down the river on the 15th day of the 7th lunar month each year. More than 5 centuries ago, boats bound for the north weighed anchor here. The journey was sometimes very treacherous. River lanterns were set adrift to remember those who lost their lives in these waters. This is a tradition that's been passed down to this day. Ancient records show that 4,000 years ago, Hukou waterfall sat at the downstream islet. It's been gradually moving upstream ever since. The river carries sand and silt washing over the steps in the riverbed. As the Yellow River surges ahead, Hukou waterfall changes from second to second. Every year, millions of tourists come here to experience this awesome sight. Someday, when the steps flatten, the waterfall may lose its power and even disappear. Then, its journey will have come to an end. Leaving the surging waterfall behind, the Yellow River makes a graceful bend near Shilou County. It wants to find its way out of the maze of mountains, but rocks stand in its way. The Shilou Bend stretches for more than 8,000 meters. This is where the Yellow River makes its biggest turn. The river continues on a long meander through the mountains. Leaving the Loess Plateau, the river runs onto low, flat land. As it slows down, it leaves behind sand and silt, changing course frequently along the way. The river forms alluvial plains that provide fertile soil for agriculture. At the point where the Yellow River meets with the Fenhe River, there's an ancient temple. For the past 2,000 years, royal rituals have been practiced at Ho-Tu Temple to worship the river and land. The temple was destroyed by river floods many times, but each time it was always rebuilt. The building is a symbol of the people's gratitude to the Yellow River. The Fenhe River continues flowing forward, building up a vast plain. Our journey brings us over the chimneys of an enormous compound. We visit an ancient city that is teeming with vitality and a giant locust tree that awaits the return of those from a faraway land. This pond gets its blood red colour from Dunaliella salina, a type of algae found only in salt fields. Outside the pond, where the salinity is low, the algae keeps its original green. This is Yuncheng Salt Lake, and it's the biggest lake in Shanxi. This striking variety of ponds is caused by salt being harvested by different people at different times. Humankind has been mining salt from lakes for over 4,000 years. Sunlight shines on the lake, crystallizing the salt. The crystals are harvested, packaged, and transported to every corner of the land. The variations in hue among the ponds are the result of human efforts made over time. The salt ponds have continued to yield their harvest generation after generation. Northerners believe that the more chimneys a house has, the more the family will thrive. The Wang family in Ningshi County has been building chimneys since the Yuan dynasty. What was once a small courtyard has now grown into a fortress. Over the generations, the family have turned their home into a compound made up of 5 castles. The complex is made up of a staggering 1,118 rooms in 123 courtyards. The tour concludes. The doors to the fortress are closed, and the rise and fall of a once important family is complete. Not far away, an ancient city stirs as the sun rises. Its residents are riding to work. For most of the people who live here, their jobs are just around the corner. Elderly people dance on the square by the old city walls. Children do the same, albeit to a slightly faster tempo. One homeowner is amazed to see our drone, wondering what it is we're shooting. There are no fixed traffic lights in the old town. One traffic officer and a patrol car are all that's needed to keep order here. This is Pingyao. Pingyao is over 2,700 years old. It is an exceptionally well-preserved example of a traditional Chinese city. At the end of the 20th century, it was recognized as a UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Site. Tianyu Tower has stood here for over 600 years. It has stood watch over generations of the town's inhabitants. It is the people that continue to give this town its enduring vigor.